I believe that Flex and the Flex formula is the way to make things better. But I know I work for Unitron, so I may have a slight bias. So I'm going to invite 3 hearing care professionals onto the stage to join me for a panel discussion about what it's meant to their business to incorporate Flex. What prompted you or attracted you to adopting the Flex experience into your business?
Well, the main reason is differentiate myself from the competition. I knew I needed something to wow my patients. What I always say, the way that I describe Flex is that the patients come in with a hearing loss, with a problem, and they leave right away with a solution.
A couple of years ago, I was at an event in Barcelona with Unitron, and just talking to a few people, and then someone said this one phrase to me that really hit home. Flex is a diagnostic hearing aid, which is exactly what it was. Now, that phrase alone just hit home. Everything sunk in. Since then, everything has completely changed. I use that phrase all the time within my whole routine.
How much did Flex change things in the way that you were fitting hearing aids or in your process?
Oh, it's completely turned it upside down, really. Before I had the typical journey, so they'd come in, they'd get the hearing test. Straight away, you're talking about levels of technology, you're talking about trying to get the sale, this is how much it's going to cost. My whole ethos has completely changed now. I don't even have to do that. Now, part of the whole hearing test is fitting people with Flex trials. So we call them Flex trials, I call them diagnostic hearing aids. They get tested, put them on, and away they go. 2 things are happening at this point. They're straight away they're experiencing hearing better, but you're telling them that we're just getting some hard facts and figures just about your lifestyle. And then they come in a week later and you're already onto a winner, really, without even having to sell anything.
The only way to make this a smooth process is doing it for every single client, not just using it as a tool I was in the past, but basically using it to create an experience within my clinic. And again, they come in with a problem, they leave right away with a solution. And even for those who, I'm part of a group chat with about 20 hearing care professionals. And I mentioned, trials, what their opinion was before I started doing this. And they said, we're not too sure about that because maybe you're seeming like you're a little pushy because you're saying as soon as the client comes out of the booth, you're putting a hearing aid right on their ear. Isn't that coming across a little bit pushy? I'm like, definitely not, because I'm not trying to sell them a hearing aid. I'm telling them this is a part of my evaluation. The evaluation doesn't end after the hearing test. This is all part of it. The hearing aid does not have to leave this room at all. This is just me evaluating you. Instead of me putting a hearing aid on your ear after the hearing test is done and asking awkward questions like, how does my voice sound? Does it sound better now? How about now? This way, I'm actually continuing the conversation, explaining the hearing test, doing everything that I would do, but with the hearing aids in their ear. So it definitely doesn't come across pushy.
How does using Flex impact the time that you spend in your practice with each client?
I spend a lot more time up front, so typically before the first test and questions would last an hour, probably spending maybe an hour and a half at the start, because we're testing, we're fitting them up with the diagnostic hearing aids, we're sending them out. But this whole time, when you're spending more time with them up front, you're building that rapport with them. They've not had this kind of attention from anyone else if they've been anywhere to any other hearing centres. Then when they come in for the follow-up, probably another hour, maybe slightly longer. But then after that, you'll find that the amount of time that you spend with them is less. So it just shifts. Mm-hmm. Rather than having it the other way around, you're just doing it all the work up front.
Which Flex technology, so Flex Trial, Log It All, Ratings, Flex Upgrade, has had the biggest impact for you and your clients?
For me, it has to be Log It All. For those of you who don't know, Log It All basically just gives you real-time information as to what the end user's lifestyle is like. So breaks it down into these categories. It gives us how much time they spend in those listening categories, and just having that information alone takes away the whole guessing game. So traditionally, when you'd have the more traditional sales approach, you'd be testing them, you'd be asking them questions about their lifestyle, but you guarantee that it'd be completely way off from where they'd be. So they wouldn't tell you these snippets of information, like they'd go play bridge for 3 hours a week that was in an environment that was incredibly noisy. They'd miss all these little pieces of information out that were critical to getting the hearing aid fitting bang on. So now just seeing hard facts and figures in front of them, you can't hide away from it. So then using the software, we can toggle through which level of technology is best suited for them. I don't have to sell anymore because it's there on the screen.
I found a lot of younger patients gravitating towards it more so, and being really interested in wanting to write down the exact percentages of each of the categories. Like asking questions, well, where does TV fall into this, and just really getting into that. And so they were more excited and more invested.
In what way would you explain or describe that Flex impacts the client experience in your practice?
So I think it makes it a lot easier to develop kind of trust and that rapport with a patient, because you are creating that experience for them and you're not just going immediately to the selling. So you can base it more on that personal connection that you develop with the patient. And so by removing that selling as well, I think you are building confidence in yourself as well for them.
How has implementing the Flex experience in your practice affected you personally or professionally?
I'm definitely a completely different person. Traditionally, I was always uneasy with selling hearing aids. I got into the business to help people hear better, but before I was always finding myself trying to push for that sale, trying to get the high-end sale. Now I'm completely relaxed. The people come in, I tell them that, we're not going to sell them a hearing aid, we're going to help them hear better. My whole ethos has changed. I don't push anything. The hearing aids speak for themselves. The software talks for themselves. I just guide them, essentially, and just help them hear.
What would you say to someone who's here today who isn't using Flex?
And I would say for sure try it. I had no problem implementing it. It was really easy for me and really smooth, so that wasn't a problem. But you're really letting the hearing aids speak for themselves, and you're not just convincing someone that they need the hearing aids. They get to experience it themselves and build that confidence in you as well as the hearing aids. And so it's putting the patient in the driver's seat, which I think is very helpful.